The courtyard fell silent, just like that. The cane hit the ground with a crack, followed by sharp, teenage laughter that cut through the morning air like glass. It wasn't funny. Not to anyone with a soul. But the boy who did it? He grinned like it was a joke meant just for him. The girl on the ground didn't cry. She just lay there, breathing slow, her cane beside her like a broken piece of armor. Her elbow was scraped, her book tossed open on the pavement like it had given up. She didn't reach for the book. Not yet. She went for the cane first, always the cane. That's when a girl by the bench moved, quiet type. Headphones in, but no music playing. She didn't need noise to hear what mattered. She walked through the crowd like the others didn't exist, crouched down, and handed over the cane. You okay? Her voice was low. Steady. Like a calm before a storm. The girl on the ground nodded. Yeah. I'm used to it. Doesn't mean it's right. She didn't look angry. She didn't raise her voice. But her eyes followed the boy walking away, swagger in his step, varsity jacket swinging, the type who thought rules didn't touch him. They didn't, really. He was a mayor's son. Star pitcher. Golden boy. And he acted like it. But that quiet girl? She was planning something. Not loud. Not fast. But careful, like someone who'd been through storms and learned how to make thunder roll in silence. That afternoon, the intercom buzzed. The school's annual Unity Challenge was coming. Teams needed to be finalized by 3 p.m. Like every year, most ignored it, just another dumb school event. But not her. She raised her hand. I'd like to captain a team. Even the teacher looked surprised. Anyone you want to pick? Yeah, she said. Calm. Certain. Him. And his 2 friends. Heads turned. Jaws shifted. It wasn't a request, it was a move. One that made the room colder. Are you sure? She nodded. No hesitation. Behind her, the girl with the cane looked up for the first time all day. Just a little. But in that glance, there was a flicker, like someone who finally saw light cutting through clouds. Later, in the locker room, the coach stared at the paper like it didn't make sense. You want those boys on your team? She stood straight, arms crossed. Yes, sir. You know that's 3 egos and a storm waiting to happen, right? I've handled worse. The coach gave a dry laugh. Fine. You'll need 1 more. What about the girl? There was a pause, but not the unsure kind. More like she was solving a puzzle in her head. She's the anchor. The word hung in the air. Anchor. Strong. Unshaken. Holding everything together. The coach didn't argue. Just wrote it down. Good luck, Williams. You'll need it. By lunch, the news was everywhere. The golden boy had been picked by her, on her team, and not by chance. The whole school felt it. Some whispered, some laughed, but he didn't. He slammed his tray down like it owed him something. She picked us, he growled, holding up the list like it was poison. All 3 of us. His friends looked up confused. What, like on purpose? She's setting us up. Wants us to look stupid. Or worse, get sympathy points for losing. Across the cafeteria, the quiet girl sat alone by the window. Watching. Waiting. Not eating. Not blinking. And she wasn't the only one. After the bell, the girl with the cane found her near the courtyard. Hey, she said, voice steady despite the limp. I heard about the team. She didn't stop moving, just slowed enough to speak. Yeah? Why me? The girl asked quietly, her voice tight. Why drag me into this? Maya turned, eyes unreadable. Because I saw you stand up yesterday. She blinked. That was me falling. No, Maya's voice dropped softer. That was you refusing to stay down. She looked away, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. That comment hit deeper than she'd admit. You think we can actually win? Maya paused, let the silence hang like a held breath before finally answering. We don't have to win, she said. We just need to make sure they lose the right way. Next day, final practice. 1 hour on the backfield. No crowd. Just early nerves and sharp morning wind. Maya showed up first, clipboard in hand, wearing a sweatshirt too big for her and track pants that swallowed her steps. She didn't look like much, but she stood like a storm was coming. The boys showed up late, no surprise. You're not serious about this, right? Bryce jogged up, smirking. This is a joke. Maya handed him the rules. Read it. Especially the final leg. He scanned it. Then squinted. Wait, the wheelchair push? Are you for real? She nodded. Final runner needs help from a teammate. Harper rides. Bryce scoffed. Of course she does, Luke added. What if she can't handle it? What if she falls again? A voice cut through the doubt, calm but strong. Then I'll get back up. Like I always do. They turned. Harper stood behind them, cane in hand, eyes steady. For a split second, none of them had anything to say. Maya didn't flinch. This isn't some game. This is what people remember when they ask, who were you in high school? Coach Reeves blew his whistle. Team 5 to your stations. They lined up, Bryce. Tyler. Luke. Harper. Maya. It began. Bryce sprinted first, fast but messy. Tyler fumbled the baton. Luke tripped over a cone. The boys were all noise and zero rhythm. Harper's turn came. Maya jogged beside her, steadying the chair as they hit the course. They made it to the finish. Barely. Then Maya pulled them into a huddle. You embarrassed yourselves, she said, flat. But tomorrow people will watch. Not because you're winners. Because they want to see if you still think you're better than everyone else. Bryce folded his arms. And if we don't care? Maya stepped closer. Her voice turned sharp. Low. Dangerous. Then I'll make sure everyone sees exactly who you are. No one laughed. That night, Harper lay in bed. Legs aching. Pride aching more. She thought about the fall. The laughter. The sting of it all. But mostly, she thought about Maya's eyes, calm, fierce, unblinking. She whispered to herself, barely loud enough for the night to hear. I'm not the girl on the ground anymore. Tomorrow, she'd ride. And this time, she'd finish upright. The next morning, the sun hit Greenwood High like a punch. The sky was hard blue. No clouds. No mercy. Unity Challenge banners snapped in the wind like fake promises. Teachers sipped coffee. Parents stood with stiff arms and fake smiles. And the bleachers? Full of students buzzing like wasps ready to sting. At 10:05, Team 5 was called. Maya stood tall at the front, clipboard tucked under her arm like a shield. Her team followed behind Bryce, Tyler, Luke, Harper. A row of mismatched pieces on a crooked chessboard. Maya's voice was low but sharp. Remember, cooperation isn't optional. This isn't about you. Not today. Bryce rolled his eyes but didn't speak. Coach raised the megaphone. Obstacle relay begins now. The whistle blew. Bryce exploded off the line like he was chasing something that mattered. He flew through the cones. Hurdles. Passed to Tyler. Tyler fumbled, nearly lost his shoe, but somehow made it to Luke. Luke slipped, caught himself just in time. Then it was Harper's turn. Maya stood by her side. The wheelchair shimmered under the sunlight, fitted with straps, gleaming wheels, and quiet pressure. Harper gripped the baton. Her face was unreadable. But her back? Straight as steel. Bryce jogged up, sweat shining on his face. You've got to be kidding me, he muttered. Maya didn't answer. Just pointed. Get behind her. He hesitated, pride twitching in his jaw. You afraid of looking like a decent person? Harper asked, voice steady. Something in him cracked, maybe ego. Maybe shame. Or maybe just the truth finally landing. He stepped behind her. Gripped the handles. Fine, he muttered. Let's go. They launched. The field wasn't smooth. Patches of rough turf. Cones like landmines. A low ramp near the end. Just unstable enough to knock someone off. Bryce pushed hard, too hard. Wheels skidded. Frame tilted. Slow down. Harper barked. You're tilting the chair. I know what I'm doing, Bryce gritted. No, she snapped. You don't. I ride this every day. The crowd noise swelled. The bleachers rumbled. Students stood, watching, whispering. The crowd leaned in. Phones flashed. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. The ramp shifted just slightly, and for a second it looked like they might lose balance. But he adjusted. She leaned. They moved as one. And somehow, together, they didn't fall. They surged forward. Ahead, 3 classmates waved and shouted, waiting near the final marker. And as they crossed the line, she lifted the baton high. Not flashy, just proud. Silence. 1 long second stretched across the field like a held breath. Then a slow, rising clap, first from the teachers, then the students. It wasn't loud, but it was real. No cheers for popularity. No applause for drama. They clapped for something different, something they didn't expect to see. Real strength, quiet dignity. She sat still, baton resting on her shoulder like a torch, chest rising, eyes focused. He stood behind her, hands still on the chair, breathing heavy, but steady. No words, no smile, just something softer in his stance, like a heavy weight finally lifted. Maya came up beside them, her voice low but sharp. Now they see. No reply, just the quiet of a moment that spoke for itself. Later, the sun dipped low and the field emptied. She rolled past the faculty lot. Maya stood by the fence, arms crossed, watching. "You really planned this," she said. Maya shrugged, eyes narrowed. "You really finished it." Then a pause. Maya's tone shifted. Serious. "Tomorrow assembly. I'm asking Grant to let us speak." A blink. "You sure?" They need to hear it, and they need to remember what silence looked like. The next morning, packed gym. Wall-to-wall students. Teachers trying to look bored, but everyone felt it, the tension in the air. The Unity Challenge Awards were just a cover. Something bigger was coming. Principal Grant cleared his throat. "Before we begin, 2 students have something to say." Eyes turned. A hush fell. Maya stepped out first. Calm, sharp, controlled. Harper followed, rolling straight, eyes fixed, shoulders squared. Her wheels made no sound across the floor. Maya took the mic. "If you don't know what happened 2 days ago, you weren't paying attention." A shift in the crowd. Some laughed, some looked away. Some thought, at least it wasn't me. Then her words cut deeper. "I saw a girl get knocked down. Not by gravity, by ego." She handed the mic to Harper, no hesitation. "My name is Harper Layton," she said. Voice clear. Soft but strong. "I've rolled through these halls for 4 years. Another pause. Most days I don't think about it. I carry my books. I live." Her breath caught. Then, but Tuesday someone took my cane. Shoved me down. Walked away smiling. A frozen crowd. Not a single phone buzzed. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Because a part of me expected it. And that hit harder than the concrete. She closed her eyes. Then opened them. "You think I'm weak? You think needing a cane makes me less?" She sat taller. "You haven't seen the miles I've rolled in therapy. The 6 a.m. brace tapings. The falls. The getting up. Over and over." Maya stepped forward. "We talk about inclusion. Hang banners. Wear wristbands. But if we freeze when someone's thrown down, none of that means a damn thing." Even some teachers winced. "If you feel uncomfortable right now, good. That means you're listening." Harper ended it. "I don't need pity. I need change. For the quiet kid. For the one who can't stand up yet. Because silence is its own kind of violence." She passed the mic back. No applause cue. No bow. They just left, side by side. Outside the gym, Bryce stood alone near the trophy case. No clapping. No comment. Just silence. Maya passed him without a word. But Harper, she looked right at him. "Justice isn't loud," she said. "It just shows up. And then gone." By Monday, Greenwood High felt different. The chatter was still there. But beneath it? A shift, like a river quietly changing direction. Bryce noticed first. No more back slaps. No more easy grins. Kids didn't move for him anymore. Some even held his gaze, not afraid, just done pretending. At lunch, his table? Half empty. Luke had transferred. Tyler kept his head down. Bryce sat alone, pushing a cold mac and cheese. Across the cafeteria, Harper and Maya had a new table. A small group, fresh faces. Not a crowd, but a beginning. That morning, Principal Grant had announced something new. Greenwood's first respect and reflection forum. Open to any student. Maya was asked to co-lead. She accepted. No speech, just action. That afternoon, Bryce stood outside room 204. He could see Harper inside, fixing flyers. Maya at the board, writing. What does respect look like? When did you feel unseen? He didn't walk in. Not yet. Instead, he wandered. At the library corner, he turned and almost bumped into her. Alone, holding a worn copy of Mice and Men. Cane looped on her arm. Their eyes met. He tried to speak. Nothing came. Then, "I didn't mean for it to go that far," he mumbled. Her voice calm. "You did enough. I was just messing around." She nodded. "That's the problem. You think cruelty's harmless if you call it a joke." He dropped his gaze. I'm sorry. For real. She didn't soften. But she didn't harden either. I forgive you, she said. But I don't need your apology. He blinked. I need you to show up different. How? Start by listening. Then she walked past, cane tapping, steady as ever. He stood still until something inside him shifted. And finally, he turned back toward room 204. When he knocked on the door, they came one by one, quiet, guarded, but carrying weight. A girl from drama class, her locker scratched up for months like no one noticed. A boy who hadn't spoken in class since someone laughed at his stutter back in freshman year. And then, the football captain, a senior, star of the school, right? But he confessed he hated being captain, hated every second in that locker room with guys he couldn't stand. And then Bryce Carter, no jacket, hair damp, that cocky energy, gone. No chair offered, he didn't wait. Just walked in, took the seat across from her, hands folded in his lap like he'd finally stopped pretending. Maya looked around the circle, calm but strong. Her voice didn't rise, but every word landed like a pin drop in silence. This isn't about blame, she said. It's about recognition. We've all been told to stay quiet, blend in, look away when we should speak. That ends here. Then came the question. When was a moment you didn't feel seen? Crack something open, first slow, careful, then faster. Some words shook, others hit like glass breaking. Some reopened old pain so sharp the room fell completely silent. And when it was Harper's turn, she didn't flinch. She didn't even look up. I used to think being ignored was safer, she said. But it just made the fall quieter. No voice crack, no drama. She didn't need to show pain to own it anymore. Then Bryce cleared his throat, barely loud enough. I thought leadership was about being feared, he paused. Turns out, I was just being followed for the wrong reasons. Maya looked at him, long and hard. You still trying to be followed? He shook his head. I'm trying to catch up. No applause. No forced closure. Just silence and breath. And maybe that's what healing really sounds like. That week, the school held its spring showcase. Usually it was chaos, glitter, noise, talent packed into a spotlight. But this time, something felt different, like truth was hiding just beneath the surface. Harper and Maya stood under the stage lights. No music, no props, just words, just them. Their spoken word piece, the sound of standing still. Maya began, calm but sharp. I used to think my silence protected me. Then Harper's voice followed, clear, steady. I used to think my cane defined me. Then both together, strong and raw. We were wrong. Their words wove like thread, soft and sharp, fire and calm. They talked about being invisible, about shame disguised as obedience, about voices that didn't yell, but still shook the walls. When they finished, no shouting, just silence. One that meant something. Then, barely above a whisper, someone in the back breathed, "Wow!" The applause didn't explode. It rose, like a tide. Even Principal Grant stood up. Even Bryce Carter clapped. And in the third row, Harper's mom wiped her cheek with her sleeve, quietly, like she'd finally seen her daughter shine. That moment wasn't just a performance. It was testimony. Later, outside, the sky was bruised purple with the last of sunset. Maya and Harper sat beneath the rusted flagpole. The breeze tugged at a flyer on the bulletin board. Next circle, what courage sounds like. Harper leaned back. Think they'll come back? Maya nodded. The ones who matter always do. They didn't need to say more. The silence between them? It wasn't empty anymore. It was earned. Exams rolled in like a slow storm. The lunchroom noise faded. Even the usual tension in Greenwood's halls felt thinner. The school wasn't perfect, but something had changed. Kids started holding doors open without being asked. Teachers paused before rolling their eyes. Respect, real respect, wasn't just a word slapped on posters anymore. And she felt it. The girl in the chair noticed it in the quietest ways. Someone moved aside without her asking. A teacher invited her to lead a public speaking unit like she belonged up front, not just in the back corner. But the biggest moment? One morning, she found her cane. Not dropped, not crooked, but standing straight and neat right next to her locker. Waiting. Like someone cared. She turned and there he was. That boy. Walking away, hands in pockets. No thanks. No smile. Just gone. Later that week, she found something folded between her books. No name. Just the school logo and 7 handwritten words across the front. You changed more than a school. Inside? A letter. Formal but personal. She'd been chosen for the South Carolina Youth Voice Honor. Recognized for leadership, resilience, and something they called quiet strength. Her story had reached beyond Greenwood's walls. She stared at the letter. Didn't cry. Didn't laugh. Just sat still. Because finally, someone had said out loud what she carried in silence for years. That night, she called her best friend. You sitting? She asked. I'm always sitting, her friend replied, bone dry. She read the whole thing aloud. Every word. And when she finished, her friend paused, then said, guess you really did roll all the way to change. She smiled. We both did. The next day, their teacher gave an assignment, write a letter to someone who changed your life. Most kids groaned. Some tried quoting song lyrics to get by. But her best friend? No hesitation. Wrote the whole page, dropped it on the desk and walked out. 2. Later that week, tucked in her locker, she found a copy. The title? To the Girl Who Taught Me to See Beyond the Fall. She read it once. Then again. By the 3rd time, she wasn't blinking away tears because she was hurt, but because someone finally understood. Justice didn't just visit Greenwood High. It stayed. In people. In choices. In quiet, decent things done without clapping hands or spotlights. And it left behind a message. Stand up when someone falls. Or kneel beside them. But never, never look away. The last week of school hit fast. Final tests. Scribbled yearbooks. Slammed lockers. Quick hugs that tried to stretch into forever. But for her and her friend, it felt heavier. Like they were closing the last page of a chapter they never meant to write. That's when her friend leaned against the car trunk. One last thing before summer, she said. You in? Where are we going? Her friend gave a sly, tight smile. To finish something. By sunrise, they were on the road. Past Charleston. Into silence. Spanish moss hanging low like whispers. And finally Selma, Alabama. The Edmund Pettus Bridge. Her friend's grandfather had marched there. 1965. History books talked about it like a legend. But standing there heat-thick, air still, it felt real. Heavy. Sacred. The girls approached the bridge alone. She rolled slowly, cane strapped to her chair. Her friend walked beside her, steps steady, arms loose. Halfway across, they stopped. You ever wonder what it felt like? She asked. Yeah, her friend said. But I think what matters is they didn't stop walking. They stood still. Let the wind move around them. Then she whispered, this thing we did back home, it wasn't for show, right? No, her friend said, shaking her head. Real change isn't loud. It's steady. Like this. She tapped the side of the wheelchair gently. And they moved again, finished the bridge. At the other end, a plaque waited. Names. Dates. A quote. Never be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble. Necessary trouble. She turned. Think we made enough noise? Her friend smiled. Just enough. On the way back, an older woman paused, sun hat, soft voice. You marched, she asked. Not back then, she replied. Maybe in her own way. The woman nodded, eyes wet. You keep marching, sweetheart. That night, back in her room, she didn't sleep. She wrote. Not for school. Not for awards. For herself. About falling. About silence. About her friend. About the bridge. She ended it with one sentence, one truth. Sometimes strength doesn't walk. Sometimes it rolls. But it always moves forward. Summer arrived quietly. No fireworks. No parades. Just soft mornings and slow days. Greenwood High stood still, empty, sun-soaked quiet. Until Monday. Principal Grant unlocked the school. No suit. Just jeans and a Greenwood t-shirt. Paint smudged on his arm. By 9, volunteers poured in. Students. Teachers. Parents. And them. Her friend with a clipboard. Hair wrapped up. All business. And her rolling in with a pouch of brushes, steady grin on her face. The stairwell wall had been blank for decades. Not anymore. The mural was her friend's idea. But the message? That was all her. A rising sun. A cracked sidewalk. A girl in a chair, hand reaching out. Not to beg. To lift. And beside her? Another girl, standing. Not leading. Walking beside her. At the top, big bold letters. Real strength doesn't always stand. Sometimes it sits beside you. By afternoon, the last brushstroke dried. No plaque. Principal Grant asked. Her friend shook her head. Not needed. Truth doesn't need credit. She looked at the wall, her voice barely a whisper. I hope the next girl who walks these halls sees this. Knows she's not alone. You mean the next one who rolls? Her friend grinned. She chuckled. Yeah, that too. 1 week later, that boy walked the halls alone, papers in hand. Something about a summer internship his dad signed him up for. But his feet took a different turn. To the stairwell. To the mural. He stopped. Read the words. Once. Twice. He didn't take a picture.